whether as a teacher or as a leader, you need to be reflective and you need to understand that there's always going to be room for improvement. So if you have that growth mindset that I can improve, I can get better, I think that always works in pushing you up further up the ladder as you go. So that just not closing down your mind, okay, where I am happy where I am and this is where I want to be, or being in that comfort zone. You need to push yourself to try something new and to be able to make those mistakes. Now, I think that plays a very important part, that you need to not be scared of making mistakes, because that is probably what I also have as a mind frame as a leader. Because in my mind, if I am going to be making mistakes, I need to be okay with the people I am leading making mistakes as well, for them to not be scared to make mistakes, to not be scared to improve. So the same principles that I put on myself is what I put on my team as well, that if I want leeway from my management to let me make mistakes, learn from them and improve, the same way I need to be able to give the same kind of sense of security to my team, that it's okay, we're just learning and we're in this together. To connect with your team, you need to know the why of it. Why are you doing it? So many times, when it comes top down, when you have the top down approach where, okay, this is what we're doing, it takes away the feel of teaching, that we know, like every teacher who has had time to teach feels about teaching a certain way. They have their own ideologies, they have their own principles, they have a way in which they look at how teaching should look in their classroom. So when we are coming to them from a top-down approach, we take that away to a certain extent. But rather, I think giving them the why are we doing this, being transparent in that form, will give them the opportunity to see the entire structure the same way that you see it. Sometimes what we want to do, okay, we can always say that, okay, we can go back to the drawing board, we can fix it, we can make things work according to how the team wants it. But we know realistically that is not always possible. There are obviously some non-negotiables. There are some systems that are placed by your senior leadership team that as middle leaders, we need to follow. So in those kind of situations, I feel like our preparedness as a leader and our problem-solving skills does play a very important part. So like I said, when we are setting up the systems, we need to first start off with the expectations. What are we focusing on? Just breaking it down into smaller pieces, making it easier for your team to follow, making it easier for them to achieve, makes it easier for them to feel like they are in a good place. They are in a good place to learn, to grow, and to make improvements. So you would start with your expectations. You would say, okay, this is the focus area, guys. This is what we are working on. We are all working on changing our planning system. Like this year for KG2, we moved on to the 5E planning to bring it closer to our primary section. So this is what we're focusing on. This is where we're going to spend time. I know the other things are going to be a bit floppy at the moment. We're going to make mistakes on the other parts, but it's fine. This is what we're focusing on at the moment. So you give them that focus, you keep them on it, and you say, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm going into classes, I'm co-teaching with you. We're fixing this. Okay, I'm going to come back and we're going to work on this again. So just saying that, okay, it's never like, oh, you did all of this wrong. It's like, okay, you did this right. Now let's fix this. So there's always there has to be a point of celebration. Is that you don't want to pressure them to the point that, okay, all of these things need to be finished now. One of the things that I found in my years as a teacher as well is that the number of changes that come, and you're like, okay, all of these changes need to be made this year. It is not achievable. And two, the amount of pressure that it puts on a teacher makes it quite a useless interaction, because no one part is being done well. So you might see that, okay, you might have a whole year's plan, but you might go through it and you're like, maybe we need to leave this for next year. You need to make those decisions as a leader and make sure that you know what your plan is going forward. So it obviously starts off with having that small group, building your trust, building that foundation so that there's somebody to speak your piece. No, this system works. Give it time. It works. So it's just about making sure that you break it down into those bits and pieces and you keep it focused. I think that is one of the most important aspects. Keeping it focused, making that culture of a focus, growth, improvement cycle with your team so that you know you're able to move forward. Change, I think, is difficult no matter what. I mean, it could be something good, but at any point, any kind of change would be difficult. And as teachers, I think the more years you spend in education, the more ingrained are your principles and the more ingrained are how you feel teaching should be. So breaking that, I think one of the things for us as leaders is to make sure that our systems at least have a certain kind of turnover. Like they need to have either provable results, or they must have some sort of end output or an end goal that we can actually show. Okay, you might not necessarily agree with the way we're doing things, but let's push through this and we will see the results at the end. So again, this also brings you back to trust, that they might not trust you completely, they might not be there yet, but the idea being that, okay, we're going to go through this process together, we can then judge it at the end. So at times that is what you need to say, that is where the whole strategy aspect comes in. You give them the strategy, okay, why don't you try it out, and then we will come back to it and tell me what. There might be instances where no matter how many strategies you give or whatever it is not working out. But then then it just comes down to, okay, let's go through this process together. We will come back and we will reflect on it at the end of the year, see how much progress has been made. That is where I think our systems then become important, that you are actually able to monitor the growth and the progress of the students, to make sure that you're able to tell your teacher, or you're able to show the results to your teacher, that, okay, you might not have agreed with it, but look, there is a result that comes out of it. Give it time.